Hello everyone, I'm your host Arctic Ghost, and welcome to another episode of the Arctic Papa Show. I am back with another ML Ovbo deck, this time with, an old, a pretty old school archetype. Before I go forward, I would like to say also, I apologize, but it is extremely hot outside and I have my air conditioner going, and my Yeti mic is picking it up. So you might hear like a noise in the background. That's my air conditioner. I can't fix that. I'm not going to turn it off because then I'm going to be incredibly hot. I don't want to deal with it. So please just bear with me. Anyway, this is a very old school type of archetype. This is that I used to see people refer to as black-white pestilence control. I didn't really play Pauper around this time. I don't really remember, to be honest with you, but this deck is basically centered around getting Pestilence out there and Guardian of the Guild Pact, because Guardian of the Guild Pact cannot be killed by Pestilence, so this is basically just infinite. And also the fun part is you gain a bunch of life with like Aven Riftwatcher, and then also you can do Pestilence for 2 every turn and gain and not take any damage because of Wall of Hope, of course. There's also a combo with Obsidian Acolyte in the board where if you give this creature protection from black, you can pretty much gain as much life as you can pretty much pestilence as much as you want and not be hurt by it. Yeah. So, it's a very slow control deck. It's kind of like Kuldotha Boros, but it's more card advantagey. Instead of dealing with creatures like from Battle Screech and whatnot, it deals with just Pestilence and stuff. It still takes advantage of Pal Sentinels. It doesn't play 4 of them, which kind of upsets me, but, I've only made one change to the deck from his original list. I took out a Read the Bones for a Cryptrats because I wanted to set Cryptrats as, I'm recording with this deck, this is about a month later, so the format's changed a bit. And I put 1 Sense Enlistment in the sideboard where I moved the Cryptrats into the main. I don't know if this deck's control matchup is great. I haven't had too much fun with that, but we'll see. We'll see. I can't imagine it's very good, because you don't really have much, but either way. So let's get into it, break the deck down piece by piece, of course. First up is the mana base. You got 1 of each cycle land. You can use them as you wish, or you could cycle them. It's nice. It's nice to feel like you're playing a 58 card deck. Then I also added 1 Bajuka Bog over a Swamp for graveyard interactions because you play 4 Orza Basilica, so you have 4 ways to return it. You play as many basics as you possibly can, of course, and then you have 4 Scoured Barrens, which is pretty good because it gains you life. So take that for what you will. Next up are the 1-drops. You have 4 Threeman Inspector, which is pretty much the perfect 1-drop in this deck. It's a 1/2 that blocks well, and it also lives during Pestilence if you want to poke for 1, and also gives you a clue to draw a card. It's not as good in this deck as it is in Kuldotha Boros because you have a Core Skyfisher, which even Riftwatch would be good in that deck too, but Core Skyfisher wouldn't be that good in this deck because you don't really have a lot of interaction. You're not really trying to attack, so there's that whole thing. And then you have Wall of Hope. It's no 3, although it dies to Bolt, which is true, you just kind of accept that, and it combos the Pestilence, so take that for what you will. And then you have Disfigure as your 1-drop, your 1 mana removal spell, which is pretty good in the format these days. Moving on, you have Chainer's Edict. Just, a great way to have 8 removal spells in your deck, and it's also good against hexproof creatures, creatures with Shroud, big creatures like Garmagangler and whatnot, what will and what have you. Your 2-mana draw spell and Night's Whisper, although you have 6 draw spells that make you lose a lot of life, you can gain a lot of life between the Aven Riftwatchers and the Wall of Hope, so do keep that in mind. Speaking of Aven Riftwatcher, you have this little guy. He's a 2/3 flyer for 3 that has Vanishing 3. For those of you who didn't play Planar Chaos or play, I think... What's that was Blastodermin? Nemesis? I think it was Nemesis. You have Vanishing, and you have, what the hell is that thing called? Let's see. Fading. So, Vanishing and Fading are the same exact thing, really. It's just that with Fading, this creature is the battlefield with 3 fade counters. Beginning of your upkeep, you remove 1. If you can't, sack it. So the difference is once you can't remove a fading counter, you have to sack it. With this one, I think it's once you remove the last time counter, it dies. Yeah, when the last is removed. So they both. So basically, they're like kind of the exact same thing, just a different way of doing it, a different wording. Uh, So yeah. The reason why this card's also good is because when it enters the battlefield, you gain 2. When it leaves, you gain 2. So basically, it's a 3-mana 2/3 flyer that's good at attacking, really good at blocking, and also gains you 4 life over time. So it's pretty good. Then you have Prismatic Strands is a good counterspell. It combos really well with Guardian of the Guild Pact. It combos really well with Pal Sentinels because they can't be killed easily. And also, it's pretty good to use Thraben Inspector on. Protects Wall of Hope from damage-based removal, so it's pretty good in the end. You can also protect yourself from a big Crypt Rats, as that's the next card we're going to talk about. Crypt Rats is just really good because it's basically Pestilence, kind of, number 5 through 6. It's basically just a big Wrath of God. That's kind of why I like it. Also, it hits creatures with flying, which is really important. Man, I feel really bad for whoever that is getting eaten. Oh well. Then you have Read the Bones, which is just a couple of extra draw spells. The reason why you only have 2 of these, and hold on a second. Okay. Yeah, so the difference in 2 mana and 3 mana is actually quite huge when trying to curve out correctly, so just keep that in mind. Then next up is Guardian of the Guild Pact. You don't really want 4 of these because you only really need 1 to be out in play, and the fact is you don't want to be flooded with so many 4s, and you have to cut corners somewhere. Same thing with Pal Sentinel, although this is another deck where becoming the Monarch, it's pretty insane. It also is great with Pestilence because Pestilence is great at keeping you as the Monarch. So, you got to keep that in mind. And then, of course, rounding out the deck is, well, Pestilence. The whole deck is centered around. Pestilence is a great Magic card in Pauper. It's actually really, really stupidly broken. It kills anything. Not many people can deal with it. And it's good against really any deck. It doesn't matter if it's control. It doesn't matter if it's combo. It doesn't matter if it's aggro. It especially matters if it's aggro. It's just really, really good against anything. So, if you have a deck that can afford to play Pestilence and abuse it, I would do it. I think this card is well worth it. I think it's one of the best cards in Pauper that just isn't played enough. So, keep that in mind. So that's the main deck. Like I said, it's pretty much what he played except for 1 change, or 2 changes, I guess, with the Bajuka Bog and the Swamp. So, keep that in mind. Moving on to the sideboard, you have 2 Circle Protection Red against the red decks, and also a Tog and Fling and stuff. You have Obsidian Acolyte against control, like, blue-black control, Angler Delver, mono-black, this deck. You were somewhat ever run into it for some reason. Anything, really. I think Obsidian Acolyte's pretty good. It's pretty expensive, too. It's like $1. Bullcrap. Senator Bear against Boggles and Stompy and all that stuff. Dust to Dust against Affinity, of course. And maybe, mono-white Metalcraft, you run into that. 4 Duress against Control, mid-range. An extra Crypt Rats in case you need that. And a Sen's Enlistment. I just happen to like Sen's Enlistment a lot. I think it's a great way to grind in the late game. Because once you get to like 8 mana or something in this deck, you're not really going to need like anything else. So the Sen's Enlistment's just a great way to grind out mid-range decks if you can get to it. So that is the deck. There isn't really much else to go into. I hope you guys enjoyed this little deck tech, and I will see you guys for the test matches. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching.